Welcome back for another Return to Creativity weekly update. How has your week been? I am Jennifer Vanderbeek with scrapsoflife.com, and today is Sunday, March 7th. So this makes it the week 9 update. Oh, so what you been up to? How has the week been in general? I'm kind of thinking back, and I gotta say, it's kind of a sleepy Sunday for me. It's actually been a sleepy weekend for me. I was going really good the first few days of the week, but then Thursday kind of hit a wall. Friday, the wall was still there, to the point where I think I had I know I had a little bit of an emotional meltdown when I got home. I was just overtired, overwhelmed, over everything. And I had a legit adult tantrum, alone, in the safety of my home, and, I got over it. Apparently this is, this is my reality now? I don't know. Oh, gosh. But, hey, it is what it is. But, all that to say that yesterday when I got up at 1 o'clock, I got up, I ate something, and I ended up going back to sleep within like the hour, and then I slept until like 7 something. Yeah. But apparently I needed that. I always heard that you can't make up for missed sleep, but then recently I've heard that you can. It just takes about like an hour and a half or so for every missed hour of sleep. Well, I think I made up for some yesterday. Of course, it threw off my sleep schedule, and I ended up staying up till 3, but just fine for me because I tend to work best late at night. It's unfortunate that, I have to conform to the standard operating procedure of our 8 to 5 world and be productive before noon. Some days, well, most days. But again, such is life, right? So I talked last week about wanting to tidy up the space here. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. Oh well, maybe this week. But the other thing I wanted to do is to try and organize my time a little bit better. I'm getting better at organizing my time at work and being more efficient and being more effective. Not having to work so late every night, and being able to like reclaim my desk, and that's all fabulous. Needed to do a little bit more of that at home now. Home, of course, is a different environment. There shouldn't be pressure at home to kind of keep you on task, but sometimes that's what my brain needs. So I ended up in my planner, which it's not handy, so I'm not gonna worry about it right now. But so in my planner, I made a note on which nights I wanted to work on which projects. So Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I worked on the coloring book project, and I have completed now the first 6 drawings or redraws for that project. I am really loving the fact that I splurged in, we'll call it a splurge in hindsight. It was absolutely an impulse buy in December when I realized Dell carried the Cintiq brand. Wacom Cintiqs are, they're pretty much a gold standard as far as pen displays or graphics tablets. And I'd wanted one for a while, but I just knew that I wasn't going to fork out the money for like the really big, all the bells and whistles ones. I didn't know there was a 16-inch version that, while it's not a touch screen, I've actually been okay with that. I thought I would have more trouble with it not being a touchscreen, as because we are used to our touchscreens now, but actually it comes in really handy because I don't have to worry about accidentally hitting buttons or changing settings, just, with the pen tablet. But, oh my gosh, it has made redrawing these pages so much faster and smoother, and I've got like my settings down, and oh, I'm really happy. I'm really happy about that. So yeah. But anyway, Yeah, that was a total impulse buy in December, which was the last month I did any impulse buying. Even though I'd wanted one for a while, I could have thought about it a little bit more than I did. But anyway, so yeah, I've got the first 6 pages done, and my goal now is to have all the pages redrawn and all of it ready to put together and you know, upload to, like, you know, the Kindle publishing, or not Kindle publishing, but Amazon, the print on demand service there, so that it can be a purchasable thing. Mainly the hurdle I have with these pages is, of course, since they were color, I do have to redraw them rather than just scanning and cleaning up my inks, which is what I would normally do because I don't normally work in color. But also, those original images were drawn as squares, and of course that's coloring book is a standard coloring book is portrait layout, so yeah, I have to kind of reorient them a little bit, and I needed to fill in some backgrounds, but I'm really happy with the way they're turning them out, I'm really happy with the way they're turning out, and that's all that matters at this point. Yeah, I've had some moments of self-doubt. I'm like, oh my God, who's gonna really want this? Nobody wants this. It's that internal nasty little voice that, you know, tries to chip away at your self-confidence. We all have them. Mine is particularly vicious, and that also kind of contributed to Friday's, well, meltdown. But anyway, let's see. So Wednesday, I worked on Wednesday and Saturday, after my long nap, I worked on the stuffy sewing project, and then Friday, and I am kind of going a little out of order on purpose here because the stuffy sewing project is more involved, but Friday, of course, was my Friday night knitting. This, whoops, this is the Ivy, you know, the Ivy pattern of the Arnie and Carlos Christmas Ball Advent Calendar 2020 pattern. And of course, you know, it's only fitting that it was done in ivory and green. And actually the green color is called Ivy for the yarn I'm using. And that was a fun one to do. I mean, they've all been fun, but I really liked seeing the way that the pattern came out. It's just so much fun. So yeah, got that done, and then back to the stuffie project. So this is the my challenge this week was straightening out the noggin, was figuring out how to best make the head for this little dude. And this is what I started with last week. I removed him from the body because I was like, the body's cool, let me snip off the head. I know. Sounds so brutal. Really, it was only a couple of threads. Yeah, let me just take off the head, and then we can kind of try and fit some others to it. It's the great thing about the jointed ones. So I went through a lot of options on this one. So this was one I didn't even finish this one because I'm like, you know what, this isn't right. So we discarded that one. Then I redid the front pattern, the front face pattern, the curved part, so that it had like this little snout kind of deal going on. Now this is cute in profile for a 2D, but you know, when it would get stuffed, then you know, this would be great for like a little baby effluent or a rhinoceros, but not for a monkey or bear or, you know, anything like that. So I'm like, all right, we'll keep this on the back burner, but this is not what we're going for right now. So I softened this point a little bit, and I created one and I stuffed him. And then as I was kind of fiddling around with it, little tiny little like LED like string light, not like a big light bulb, but a tiny little light bulb kind of went ding. And I was like, oh wait, I know what this needs. This is a technique I've done before, and I didn't think about it. And it's called needle sculpting or soft sculpting, and it happens a lot in soft toys. And it's where you start with a basic shape, but then you use very selective stitches, small stitches, to kind of draw in the fabric in certain spaces to kind of create an eye cavity, define the nose, create a mouth, you know, give them dimples or something. And so this was kind of like the start of that. This was just me playing around. This is this little dude, I don't know, he kind of looks more like a bulldog than anything else, I think. But this is the start. This was a start. So with this in mind, I'm like, okay, I've done this before. I understand the basics, but I need to brush up my knowledge a little bit. So off to YouTube it was, looked up some videos, and I'm like, oh, right, okay. So then I decided to go from a 3-piece head to a 4-piece head, which, in addition to making the sculpting a little, you know, to making it a more roundish, more spherical head to begin with, it would also allow for easier construction, because fitting a flat circle into 2 curved pieces, while not impossible, because I've done it several times in this process, it is more challenging. It's more fiddly. And, you know, the old saying is, work smarter, not harder, and by gosh, we're trying here. So I created, you know, I adjusted my pattern to create like the 4-piece head, but then this, even unstuffed, it was clear, you know, stuffing was not going to make this. I mean, this is almost as big as the body. So I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. So, meh. But then I got this one. So the size was a little bit better. Size was a little bit more proportional. I knew with stuffing it would come down a little bit, but it was a little too pointy. He had kind of like a cone head thing going on here, and way too pointy of a nose, and there were issues. So, but I'm happy to say, I think that was like 6 or 7 different things. But I am happy to say that I now have a workable head shape. This one is attached. It is actually jointed. There's like there's a button inside that kind of helps anchor the joint. Now, this has had some rudimentary soft sculpting done on the nose. You can see where the eyes would go, and he's got a little bit of a nose there, and he's got some dimples pulled in. Again, I need to practice the face shaping, the details, but overall, I'm really happy with the shape, to the point where I feel confident sizing it up. So, you know, the back is still open, and, you know, obviously he doesn't have ears yet, or his little fluff of hair, but the proportions are correct. It is a much better shape, and I even kept, there's a little bit of like, almost like a back of the head, like ridge kind of thing, but actually that kind of helps anchor it, so he's not so floppy. The button helps for that too, but yeah, so that is, so anyway, we have a winner. We have a winner, and I have now, whoops, updated my pattern. This is the second printout I made of the pattern that I've been using for this little dude. And now I've traced on my new pieces, because let's see, these were the original, whoops, these were the original head pieces, and these are the finished head and face pieces. That's a big difference. But why I've done it this way is it'll make it easier for me to scan this and then make sure that all the sizes, I can match these sizes to the image already on my computer, and that way make sure that I've got everything in scale as I refine those shapes in the program, and then I can enlarge them to get them to a bigger version that is maybe closer to the end result that I'm looking for. Now, so that's, at least 3 projects that I'm working on. Actually, there was a 4th one. I was doing some background work on another project last night after I kind of got to a good point with the stuffy head. So the question one might ask is, why don't you, especially like the coloring book project, why not, since you want to have it done by the end of the month, why not work only on that? Why not concentrate on that and just draw, 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 draw until it's finished? Well, a couple of reasons. One, actually, no, I take that back. It seems like there should be more than one reason, and maybe there is, but the one that's coming to mind is I know my brain. Even before learning that I had ADHD, I learned the very, very hard way that I am prone to burnout. If I overconcentrate, or in ADHD terms, hyperfocus on one project, excluding everything else, I can do that. I can absolutely do that. But what will happen is by the end of the project, well, first of all, there'll be periods of time where I absolutely lose steam and get frustrated, and without something else to switch to, it creates a huge amount of anxiety. But when I power through a project like that, for reasons that, if I don't have to, we'll put it this way, my arbitrary deadlines are not the same thing as somebody making me do something by a certain deadline. But when I power through something like that and I hyper-focus to the point of excluding everything else, by the time I get to the end of the project, I will end up hating that project. I will not want to look at it, not want to do it. It creates some bad stuff in the brain, and it's just not healthy. It's just not healthy. Another thing is, I have always said that, I think it's great that, I have a thing for monkeys, y'all. And I mean, this is not news, but one of the reasons why I kind of like the monkeys so much is because they jump from branch to branch to branch. Like I jump from project to project to project. And for me, what that means is that if I get stuck on something, or say my hand starts to cramp because I'm, working with fiddly details on the drawing tablet, my hand starts to cramp, that's not healthy to push through. I can switch gears and work on something else. Now, granted, a sewing project is, whoops, a sewing project isn't necessarily going to help that, or knitting or something, but there are other things that I can do that not only relieve the tension on my hand, but relieves the tension in my life. Or if I'm not sure why a background isn't working, again, using the coloring book as an example, or if I'm not sure quite how I want to do it, or I'm just getting frustrated because, I don't know, maybe the computer's flaking out, because computers do that. It helps me to be able to switch to something else and let that project sit on the back burner, and kind of let my brain mull it over and get a little distance while I work on something else. But rather than, say, just vegging out in front of the TV, which I'm better at these days. I used to not be able to do it all, but I always have to be doing something. I always have to be working on something. Otherwise, chances are I'll just zone out anyway. So this way I have multiple projects going on, I have multiple things to concentrate on, and if I get stuck somewhere, I can take a detour, and then, find the on-ramp when I'm ready to get back. But by planning these breaks, planning these detours, giving myself, it's like, okay, I know that, I want to work on this tonight, but again, the return to creativity is just 15 minutes. I can do anything for 15 minutes, even if I have to break it up into 3 5-minute segments, but usually I can manage it for 15 minutes. But also knowing that, okay, well, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to be working on something else. sometimes that's all it takes. It takes that pressure off. And for someone with ADHD and anxiety, yeah, that's really important. So that is why I chose to structure things and build in breaks on other projects so that I can keep forward momentum on everything. Well, not everything, but at least on those projects, but not feel like I'm beating myself up. It also, tangentially, it also helps me feel like I'm not having to settle for just one project, because oh my gosh, so many things. It's almost like that whole fear of missing out, but I have so many things that I want to do. I know I can't do everything at once because logically I know that I will not get anything done. I won't get enough forward movement on any one thing if I'm trying to do all the things. So this way I have 3 things going at once. I have knitting on Friday nights and, other times if I choose to, substitute something, but I've got the coloring book project and I've got the stuffie project. And both of these, all of these are important to me, but by working on multiple projects at once, I feel like I'm not having to settle. I'm not having to exclude everything else. And it makes me feel like I'm going to reach my goals in a much more attainable fashion for me. Does that make sense? I hope. If you have questions, leave them down below and I'll try and answer them better. Let's see. Going forward, I think this week is going to look a lot like last week did. Hopefully without the meltdown. Hopefully I can manage that a little bit better. And yeah. Oh gosh, next weekend. Daylight savings time returns. I never like giving up that hour. I never do. But I will manage. I will manage. Yep, I think that's my update for this week. I hope you guys have a fabulous, creative, productive, and however you define those words for you week ahead. Welcome to March, and I'll see you next week. All right, bye-bye.